Welcome to the Palette Talks podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Jason, and you are listening to the Palette Talks podcast. In this episode, we're accompanied by one of my favorite singers slash artist slash producer in the music scene. His songs have always been my destination when I just try to find the good vibes, the positivity. And it's the one and only Airr. Hey man, welcome to the show.
What's up? Thank you. That was such a nice intro.
So, how has it been going, man? How is it going? How has life been treating you?
Really good. It's a Monday morning and I'm on a podcast. How sick.
It's the perfect way to start your week, right?
Oh yeah, it's my first podcast though.
Life is good. I love that. Before we proceed any further, I think it would be great if you can do some introduction, a little bit about who you are, where are you from, and what do you do, and we'll pick it up from there.
Cool. My name is Airr. I'm an artist slash singer slash producer. Because I make everything I do all from scratch. I'm from LA and my whole life I've been playing piano and guitar. And the funny thing is, I've played music my whole life, but since my parents were so eager to get me into like being a doctor or some profession like that, because that's what's quote unquote respected, that's where I was always headed. So when I went to college, I was like, okay, well, what do I do now? I guess I'll be a doctor since I'm kind of good at science, and that's what my parents want me to do. But I'm sure a lot of people are gonna feel this too at some point in their lives. You're like, no, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. It doesn't feel right. And then soon after, maybe 2 years later, I dropped out and began pursuing music, and that was the best decision I ever made.
That's a very interesting background, and I really want to touch a little bit about that. And I think this would be relatable with a lot of people out there, especially for people passionate in music. You talked about being a doctor, and you're not super passionate about that. And at a certain point, you decided to drop out. So how was that process like? How was that experience like? I'm sure you love your parents, your family, but you gotta make the best decision for yourself. And like, what was the experience like? Dropping out and pursuing music.
It was really hard because my parents are really, really against it, as I'm sure a lot of people's parents would be. Dropping out of school it seems like in society it's like, oh my God, it's the worst thing you could do. You're a loser now. You dropped out of school. School is everything, but not everything has to be. You don't have to go to college to do anything, really. I mean, not anything, but there's certain careers you have to go to college to do. Doctor, whatever, lawyer, you have to go to school. And then there's other stuff you don't have to go to school. School is not, you don't have to go to college and get a 4-year degree and pay thousands of dollars to become a musician. It's not going to help you in any way. But they didn't see it like that. They're like, no, you have to do it, but you have to have a backup plan. And I was like, I'm so confident that this is what I have to do. I don't need a backup plan until this fails. Does that make sense? Like, if I need a backup plan, I could always go back to school. And they're like, well, it's going to be harder, And they were so against it. You don't understand. Like, at first I didn't drop out. I was like, let me take a year off. Let me do this and let's see where it goes. And they're like, no. They're like, no, you're not going to do that. And I was like, well, I kind of want to. And then, honestly, they were like, no, you're not doing it. And I was like, do I listen to my parents and regret and hate the rest of my life? Or do I just take the leave of absence and then just call them and be like, listen, I love you guys. I appreciate everything you do, but this is what I'm going to be doing. And that's what I did. I did the second option, and they were really, really mad. And it took a long time for them to not hate me. Well, they love me, but they're like, oh, he's making the wrong decision. You know, they're just trying to be good parents. Um, yeah, and then eventually, after a year of nothing really happening in terms of my music, after it started picking up, then they were like, huh, this could work. And they're like, wow. And then, I mean, my mom still bugs me to this day, but now they understand more that at least when things start working, they're like, oh, okay, whatever you did was pretty good, pretty smart.
Yeah, I think that's really dangerous. Like when you thought that like, yeah, I'm gonna be a doctor. I'll follow what my parents are saying.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, you will start to resent your parents. Like
Mm-hmm.
you'll hate them for a long time. That I think that will be more dangerous. So like to take that, I don't know, that years of probably your parents hating you and not liking your decision. But in the end, it plays out. It played out for you well.
Yeah.
But during that journey, that experience, have you ever doubted yourself? Like, did I actually really choose the right decision, or did I just make a big mistake? Have you ever thought something like that?
No, because that was my gut feeling. Always follow your gut feeling. My gut told me this is what I always imagined, that I'm gonna be a big musician. That's what I've always imagined, even when I was in high school. But I never thought it was possible because there was no one around me that encouraged me and told me, hey, this is what you can do. Here's how you do it. Go on the internet, grab a couple things, a microphone, some speakers, and a laptop, and that's all you need to make music. But once I found that out, I was like, no, this is my destiny. And I never felt like I made the wrong decision in dropping out, because I just knew it was a matter of time where, my career would stop picking up to where I could do music full time. Um, and yeah, I never had that doubt, especially with college, because I'm so passionate about college not being necessary. There's so many ways you could make a living without going to college. I mean, at the end of the day, college is a business. They want you to pay them a lot of money to just get an education, especially at least in America. You
Mm,
pay a lot of money just to get a 4-year education, and that's not even enough. You have to go get a master's and something else to get
mm.
a quote unquote good job. So yeah, I never doubted it. I always had a feeling.
Wow. I love that. I love that energy. And um like yeah, I think especially in the US, it's very expensive and sometimes even you gotta take like student loans and you gotta have that and
Mm-hmm.
that's not good.
Yeah.
Like especially doing things that you don't even like in the first place,
Yeah, yeah.
that would be troublesome. And yeah, like especially with the internet and how things have evolved over time, um, we're basically able to do anything we want if we put in
Yes.
the effort and the
Yes.
time. Especially like with music, you don't need to go like have these expensive equipments and renting studios like every day, to
Mm-hmm.
make music. And like you can even release independently, right?
Oh
Without
yeah.
being signed to a major record label. Like I think that's like the beauty of technology and the evolution of just things going on around us. Like
Oh
of
yeah.
course, like if you're like a doctor or a lawyer, like I think that major will be incredibly helpful. But
Yeah.
for a lot of majors, it's actually not as important as people used to think. Um, and so yeah, I think it's an interesting topic to talk about, especially for the younger generation. I'm living in Indonesia here,
Mm-hmm.
and college is pretty much still the prerequisite. It's like the requirement
Mm.
for everything. Unless you want to be like an entrepreneur or a
Right, right.
musician, or something that you start uh, your own. But like if you want to work for people, like you need college degrees. So that's still a thing here, at least in Southeast Asia, I believe. Yeah, I think it's like I love that mentality when you said like follow your gut feeling
Mm-hmm.
and like this is what you want to do. Like this is your destiny.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's not a lot of people can have that mindset, and it's really interesting that you actually were able to pick it up. you know?
Yeah, I mean, I encourage. I feel like the message I want to, thing I also want to inspire in people is to, like that last song I dropped, to follow your
Yeah.
dreams and follow what your gut feeling says and what you really want to do in this life, because so many people are going to brainwash you into thinking that the only respectful careers are doctor, engineer, lawyer, you know, like those type of careers. But in
Mm.
reality, there's so many jobs, so many different things that you can do, and you won't even think there is that job. You
Mm.
and I just remembered, actually I had 1 year left in college, by the way. I had 1 year left, and my parents were like, "But just finish it. You're so close." And I was so confident that this is not what I want to do, and I was so like confident that college is not the way, that I was like, "No, I don't care if I have a year left." Because I was a little ahead, so I was like, "No, I don't care if I have a year left. I'm not gonna finish it." And yeah, and then like you said, the internet, you have to take advantage of the fact that
Yeah.
um, we've come so far into technology that literally all the college books are online anyways. You don't even have to buy a
Yeah.
book. You can just buy the book and read it yourself and educate yourself. But that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like it's not easy to discipline yourself to um, sit there and read all those books. But if you really want to, you can. You could get all the information off the internet. I learned how to produce and engineer and mix off the internet. Like
Wow.
YouTube, I watched YouTube videos and learned how to mix my songs and master my songs, and I watch other producers and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool that they did that," and I learned off them. And people around me, like, they were still saying, "Don't you want to go to school for like music and engineering and stuff?" And I was like musical engineering, and I was like, No, why would I?
Mm.
All the information is right there. I'm learning." Before you guys came over to my house, I was watching YouTube videos on how to engineer. He was teaching me. He's a professional teaching his YouTube audience how to produce, mix, master.
Mm.
So it was right there for me, and all I had to do is watch YouTube videos and figure it out. And that's, to me, that's way better than going to school for something, because then they put you in a box.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that becomes a big problem with the education system. I believe that education is important, but I don't think that going to college or school is the only way you get education.
Yep.
Um, like the resources are all out there. Like you said, like you even can get those textbooks and those books, those ebooks, those
Yeah.
articles, those long videos from the internet, and you can even get it for free. And like at the end of the day, it's all about what you actually decide to do. Knowing that the resources are out there, but like a lot of people are having excuses and blaming people, I think,
Mhm.
and that becomes a problem in when they failed at something and they don't want to, you know, get back up and, not giving up, but
Mhm.
they're just like, oh, it's because of that, oh, it's because
Yeah.
it's, like, even though the opportunities are all around them. um
Mhm.
but like, yeah, you gotta pick it up, you gotta like go watch YouTube. There's so many tutorials on YouTube, like,
Yeah.
and you can learn so many new things from YouTube. And like I'm actually still going to college, right? And I'm taking a
Mhm.
business major.
Mhm.
It's literally like, I don't understand, like, I learned so much more about business from the internet
Yeah. Watching
than
Gary Vee.
and watching Gary Vee. Like, I feel like that's like really practical stuff. Like,
Yep.
like all the stuff I learned from college is just like textbook stuff that doesn't really feel very true. Like, and
Mhm.
when you watch Gary Vee, like you
Yeah.
learn about so many things.
Yep.
And yeah, he's definitely one of my role models.
Yeah.
In one thing that um actually it attracted me to Gary Vee is also about his like positivity, like his
Mhm.
mindset.
Mhm.
But he's so positive and so confident and so optimistic, and I think that's also, at least in my perspective, what I see from you. Like, um, if I gotta be honest with you, like one thing that I admire you so much from you is the way you infuse positivity in, like, I would say, like, positivity, good vibes, and, like, just good things. And like, this is super interesting to me. So I'm just wondering, like, how could you be able to, like, radiate so much positivity through your music? Like, what's your source of that positivity?
I mean, that's a good question. I feel like when it becomes a habit, um, when something becomes a habit, that's all you would do naturally. So
Mhm.
there's times in my life where I've been sad, I've been more depressed, and naturally, whatever I do becomes more negative. You are what you think.
Mm.
So whatever I'm thinking is coming out. I'm thinking, oh, I hate my life. I'm sad. So then I express that. But I mean, most of my life, it's a habit to be happy and optimistic. And I mean, that also depends on who you're around. The people around me are also the
Mm.
same way. They're happy. They're positive. Um, but like like you said, you have these role models like Gary Vee, and so do I. I have people that I look up to, and I look up to the people who also radiate that positivity and a mindset that I'd like to follow and to
Mm.
better my life. Because anytime I'm down or something bad happens, I'm like, okay, let's say like I don't know, I roll down the stairs and I break my foot. Most people would
Mm.
be so angry and oh my god, this is horrible. I'm not gonna be able. But I'm like, is that gonna help me? Is being mad at my foot gonna help me at all? Is it gonna fix my
Mm.
foot? Oh, no. Is it gonna make me feel better? Probably not.
No.
It's just gonna make everyone around me more stressed. So when something happens like that, I try to make my first reaction, and it's hard to because we have instincts, but I try to suppress myself and be like, listen, be positive, think positively because that's what's gonna help you, not thinking negatively. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a conscious decision to try to make yourself positive. It's not just on accident. So, I mean, you have control over your mind. So you gotta tell yourself you want to be a positive person, and then you will.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. Like, um, we like, a lot of people don't realize that they're actually given consciousness to
Yeah.
freely choose what you want to do. You have the, like, at the end of the day, it's up to us, right? It's our decision. Like, do we want to complain? Which I'm pretty sure it won't change a lot of things, but it will just make you feel bad.
Mhm.
And it's um natural. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
is.
it's a reaction. Or are you willing to see the bright side, or
Right.
focus on just solving the problem? And I think, a lot of people are just, especially in this, like, social media and stuffs going on around us, like, they just follow the flow. So, like,
Mhm.
when the world is going bad, and, like, all right, so this is, like, a good place for me, like, I want to feel bad too. And instead of,
Yeah.
like, you can actually control your heart. You can actually control, like, your responses, despite the things going on around us. Like, of
Mhm.
course, like, will be affected, but I think we're given the capacity to consciously choose, like you said, and build habits. I think that's really important, building habits. So, well, like, do you have any habits, like maybe little tricks or exercises that you do so that you can be positive, especially when things are not going so well for you?
Oh yeah. I feel like the biggest thing I do is putting things into perspective. So let's say the same thing with falling down the stairs, or maybe you fail a test at school, or something doesn't go your way.
Mm.
I just think, why would I sit here and complain about something in reality so small when there's someone out there that's fighting for his life? There's someone out there that doesn't even have food or water, and they don't know when the next time they're gonna eat or drink. And I'm sitting here complaining about breaking my ankle. I do that all the time. I just like reality check myself if I'm ever complaining about, or I'm just upset about something like really small. And it's like it's okay to get upset at things, but some people take it a little too extreme because then
Mm.
it's just ruining your life. There's a lot of things to be upset about. There really is if you look for them, but if you don't, there really isn't. There's so much good things, and there's so many things we're blessed with.
Mm.
that you should be focused on that, not the fact that something bad happens. So I always put things into perspective. What about you? I feel like you're also such a positive force, and your channel is so positive, and that's why I love and follow you, because you have that same mindset. I mean, it's not a lot of people like that. So like, what's your inspiration? Why are you so positive?
Um, that's, you know, now that you put me on the spot, like, beginning to
Yeah, how does
think.
it feel, Jason? How does it feel?
um, I think for me, like, I think it's contextual. Like, it's different for different people, but I think it
Hmm.
works for a lot of people too. Like, for me, it's about gratitude. I don't know, like,
Mm.
it's one thing that I always do every time I just woke up and every time before I go to sleep. Like,
Mm.
I was trying to find like 5 or 10 different things that I can be grateful for today.
Wow.
Like, and usually like we think about like, oh, we got to be grateful for the big things,
Hmm.
and like every day I begin to realize that like the little things are actually the big things. um
Yeah.
like, to be alive, like, even I can sleep on my bed.
Hmm.
That's like, not a lot of people can have access to that. Like,
Yeah.
to be connected to the internet, not a lot of people can have that.
True.
To have a family, to have be surrounded by friends. Like, I just try to count my blessings every day,
Yeah.
and like when you focus on being grateful, like try to list the things you're grateful for. At least for me, it actually helps me to not really be over anxious and not really think about like the bad stuff's going on.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I remember one thing that Gary Vee said too. Like, in this world, it's so easy to find negative stuffs if you're actually willing to look for negative stuffs.
Yeah.
But it's actually also easy to look for positive stuffs if you're
Hmm.
actually willing to look for positive stuffs.
Very true.
So, like, at the end of the day, it's about our decision, right? It's about like what kind of habits do we want to build, or what kind of responses do we want to put out. And one thing, like, for me is I try as much, even if to the point in a humanly level, I try to complain. I try not to speak it out of my mouth.
Mm.
I believe like when you declare it, it becomes true. It feels true. So like, oh, this hurts. Like, yeah, it will hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you
I
like
agree.
hold it in, like it doesn't hurt as much. So like,
Yeah. Have you
yeah,
ever stubbed your toe and then you literally like what you're saying is like suppress it and don't complain or don't like yell or don't say ouch, and you're just like, no, it's all in my head. It's all in my head. And I try you have you ever done that and try to make the pain go away like that?
yeah, like
Yeah.
that's what I usually do, right? Because like, please don't let this bleed.
Uh-huh.
I'm so afraid like when like things are going out of my body, like blood
Oh.
and stuff like
Oh.
that. Oh, it's like, oh, I don't, I can't really handle it. I cannot really handle that.
Yeah, don't
Uh,
become a doctor.
yeah. Like, I think it's the opposite of my destiny, being a doctor.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Same.
I mean, like, it's really tough being a doctor, and like, respect to all the doctors,
Yeah.
especially with like COVID and
Oh yeah.
everything going on around us. It's really hard, and challenging. So I really respect. Like, it's even
Yeah.
hard to study biology and stuff like that, and I'm just, that's just not me.
Yeah. I mean, hard to study, and they put in so many hours. Um, they wake up super early, or they're in their hospital super late at night, all hours of the night. If you're a surgeon, you do surgery whenever they call you.
Mm,
And if you imagine you don't like it, imagine you didn't really want to be a doctor, and now you're stuck doing all this work you don't want to do. Versus when you do like something, you just do it because you want to do it. You don't even see it as work. This is like
yeah,
what I want to do in my day. This is what I'd be doing if I wasn't getting paid. this so I go and find something that you feel that way about, not like, oh, I gotta go into work. Because I feel like that's why so many people are unhappy, because they're doing something with their lives that they don't really want to do.
Mm.
So, and you do it every day.
Yeah.
So your days are filled with something you don't want to do. That's not a recipe for something good.
Yeah. For sure, like when you're not passionate about the things that you're doing,
Yeah.
that's a really bad place to be in. Um, like for me, like for now, at least for me, like I like to listen to music and like curate featuring people's music, and I
Mhm.
really enjoy doing that. And at certain times, I even feel like, oh, I feel kind of like burned out.
Mhm.
And like I gotta take a break,
Mhm.
spending more time with like my family and friends and do
Yeah.
other activities. That happens for me.
Yeah.
And it happens for something that I am actually passionate about. Um, it's just like a temporary thing for me.
Yeah.
So I cannot imagine myself doing something that I'm not passionate about. Like how burned out would I be if I um am doing something that I'm not passionate about
Every day.
um, every day? Yeah, that's even worse. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know so many people that I mean, a lot of people go to college and they're confused, lost, they don't know what to do. And like, I don't know, I feel like people expect you to have your life figured out at 18 years old. How? You're only 18. You live to like 70, 80, and people want these 18-year-old kids to know exactly what they're gonna do with the rest of their life. So, I mean, it takes time to figure it out. So, and then when, especially like with switching majors, right? They're like, oh, well, I already spent 2 years studying this, and now I have to switch and study this. Oh, I feel like I already, like I already dedicated myself to those 2 years. It's too late to switch. No, it's not. It's not too late. Switch now or be forever unhappy. That's how you have to look at it. These 2 years is gonna look. It's gonna you're gonna look back and be like, wow, those 2 years really didn't mean anything in 10 years. You're gonna be like, I'm so glad I switched. But so many people don't because they're like, oh, I'm already in it. Like this is it. I've already went to medical school. What else do I do now? But it's like at any moment you could switch.
Yeah, and I think that is why it's really important to put things into perspective
Hmm.
and realize like you don't need to have your life figured out at 18. That's too much pressure. Like I don't even think like people over 30 know they're like what they're passionate about.
Oh yeah.
And so like and there are a lot of people that experience that. And so like I don't get the idea of pressuring yourself to, oh, I gotta know what I really want to do for the next 20 years of my life.
Hmm.
And I gotta be really committed towards that. Um, that's a really hard reality to digest.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think as we grow up and mature, and I think we would think and see things from different perspective in a much clearer way. And so, like for me especially, like I think the 20s is the time for us to explore
Hmm.
what we actually like
Yeah.
or what we think we would like. So it's really great if we can explore doing different stuffs, even things that might not be related to your major on your 20s, like
Yeah.
working in a nonprofit and then
Hmm.
go start a business and then start to produce music. Like you can literally do anything and fail at all of them
Hmm.
and be very, very young. Yeah, I think that's why perspective is incredibly important.
You're right. You're supposed to, as young as you can, start trying to do things and mark them off your list. Okay, I hate doing this. I can't do this. Oh, I like doing this. Oh, I like doing this. Because then if you just go to school, learn the things you do, come back home, like relax, not do anything, and not try anything new, you're gonna get. That's what's gonna happen. That's what happened to me. Really, is like, well, not really, but yeah, you get to college, and you're like, I don't know what to do. But imagine I tried producing music at the age of 15. I would have been
Mhm.
hooked then. You know,
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad how my life went, but I'm saying like for the people listening, if you could try so many things, and now, like you said, it's so available. You could download one thing on your laptop and produce a song. You could download it on your phone. There's like apps now that you could like produce like
Yeah.
very basic beats, but you go out and try things and see what you like. I mean, again, you could be 35, 40 years old and start doing something new again. You don't have to do the same thing in your life the whole way through, you know? You don't have to just be um just a musician the whole way through. You could also do things on the side. Like you said, nonprofit, you could open up a business and sell some things. You could do so many things on your way. Not one thing for the rest of your life, which is I feel like how a lot of people see it. But I also want to ask how your like experience was with finding out what you wanted to do, be an entrepreneur.
It's a very roller coaster ride for
Yeah.
me. And I don't even know, like, do I actually really want to be an entrepreneur?
Hmm.
Um, at least for now, the last 2, 3 years, I'm deeply passionate about like building something that impacts people.
Hmm.
That's what I'm actually passionate about. So I love the idea of building something, building products or services, offering services, and have a collective um, group of people, and we were working together, and we try to make the world a better place in
Hmm.
whatever way that is.
Yeah.
And so that's how my perspective of like at least that's what my passion is right now, you know. And I'm still like, I'm not even 20 yet, and like um I know as time goes by, the way I look at the world will change. Even though I think like, no, I think I'm gonna go in this direction, like
Yeah.
I'm sure at some point it will shift here and there, and it will grow and like
Yeah.
change. And so one thing that I always remind myself is that I want to always be open minded on what actually is my passion. Um, for now, maybe it's like business, and like I love the music industry and stuff like that. But maybe in the next 3 years, I will start a restaurant. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think to keep myself being open minded and be available to uh, make yourself happy.
Yeah.
Be available to discover new things, discover new people, and make connections with people, make relationships with people. I think that allows us to actually get us closer to our destiny.
That's very true.
Like, because like we like to pinpoint like, oh, I gotta be a CEO of a $1 billion company in 25,
Hmm.
and like that's cool, that's good, but like things could change along the way. And being a billionaire at 25, let's say, it's even like ridiculous. It's like, yeah, we all gotta have dreams and stuff, but like, you know, there are many ways you can actually fulfill your purpose. There are many ways you can discover your passion, and it's not just about money. Even it could be about like influence, music,
Hmm.
or um, even simple things like helping out your neighborhood. I think stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Um, people are missing out in because like we always picture the idea of success has to like money
Hmm.
and like fame and like acceptance. And like, not that I'm saying that those things are not important, they're important, but I don't think that should be the main focus of,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially for our passion and purpose. Like, I don't think those are the focuses. um yeah, so that's how I think about it. Like, what about you? How do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Your foundation can't be money, fame, all those things, because if you're talking like literally, if you make a house like that, the house will fall. And like figuratively, the house will fall if it's out of money, because you're gonna get the money, and then guess what? You're gonna be like, okay, well, now I'm a millionaire. Now what? I still
Mm.
don't like what I'm doing. I already achieved this goal. Have you ever like achieved something and you're like, okay, well, next, like, oh, I want to
Yeah.
learn how to solve a Rubik's cube. Okay, now the fun was like, okay, now I learned it. Now what? Okay, and then
Mm.
you move on to something else. So it's like that can't be your like whole life. That can't be your your career. Because and then you're gonna get the money, and so many people. I feel like people think, oh, just because someone has money, they're happy, their life is perfect. All these
Mm,
celebrities, they're just so awesome because they're famous and they have money and their life is perfect. No, you get used to it. There's like I always see it with perspective. There's someone that has way less than me. Way there's someone with no money living in Africa, like
mm,
they're starving and they don't have a lot of things in their life, or like people that they live good somewhere on an island and
mm,
they're really really happy. I've seen like I watch videos like that. They're like on an island. They don't have much. They don't have internet. They just have each other. They wake up and they're super happy because they're not sitting there comparing themselves to someone with money. It's when you start comparing and getting jealous and thinking like that, then you're gonna be like you're gonna start to feel bad about yourself, which is why people set goals at 25. Ooh, my friends, they're already getting jobs and stuff. I gotta be this at 25, or else I'm gonna feel bad. Like I'm gonna feel like a loser. Or what are they gonna think of me if I'm already 25 and I don't have my everything figured out? They
mm,
try to go as fast as we can. It's not a bad thing. I want to do that too. I want to go I want to quickly get to where I want to go, but I feel like the journey, as cheesy as it sounds, because people always say it, like the journey is where you're supposed to have the most fun. And don't I don't even want a end destination, if that makes sense. Like I don't
mm.
want to be like, okay, well I did this and now I'm done. I feel like accomplished. It just no, I wake up every day and the fun is like trying to get to where I want to be,
Mm.
but I don't want to reach somewhere and be like, okay, well, I'm here now. Now what? It's over.
Yeah.
It's not. It's never going to be over. So that's why when they say like the journey is what you should focus on, it's the journey is waking up every day and being like, yeah, I get to make music today. Yeah, I get to be an entrepreneur today. Not like, oh, I got to do it again today. I got to work hard because I'm trying to be rich and famous, and because people do think like that.
100%. Like that is everything. Like a lot of people, like I agree with that too. Like a lot of times we adore the destination,
Hmm.
but the real fun is actually in the journey.
Hmm.
And I think with us human beings, it's difficult for us to be content.
Yeah.
Especially like when you achieve something, like yay, I finally achieved it, and it only lasts for 5 minutes, and then you're like,
Yeah.
what's next? and
Yeah.
and that will be like an endless spiral circle, like it will not end. So I think it's really important um to be able to put things into perspective and realize that, oh, actually the journey, the process is what it's actually all about. Um,
Yeah.
um so yeah.
Right.
Let's move on and let's talk a little bit about your music. Um, I've actually an interesting story. I don't know if you still remember this. It's I think it's like several months ago.
I think I know what you're talking about. But yeah, go on.
And so like there was this time, I think I remembered it was like a Sunday afternoon.
Hmm.
Um, and I was about to grab some bubble tea with my friends.
Yep, I knew the story.
Like, and this is like I'm super happy when this happened. Um, so I was about to order some bubble tea, and it was like an open space, so they had this really loud speaker,
Hmm.
like playing songs. And I remember, like, I'm still like considering like which thing do I want to choose.
Yeah.
And then like it came across me like, oh, why does this song sound so familiar? Like this melody sounds so familiar. This beat sounds so familiar. It's like, wait a minute, is this Airr? And I was like, I remember like I kind of like shout to like my friends like, yo, this is Airr. They were like, who is Airr? I was like, this is Airr. Like I talked to this guy like several days ago. Like Airr. And like it was like the best feeling. I remember like I don't know. I think it was like you are the one.
No,
I
I'm
forget.
glad you're mine. I
Oh,
remember. I'm
it
glad
was
you're mine.
I'm glad you're mine. Um and I think they played it from YouTube, and I saw that you're pretty big on YouTube too, so that's really cool.
Thank you.
But yeah, like that feeling is really like the best when like one of my favorite songs, not Bruno Mars, not from Taylor
Yeah,
Swift,
yeah,
but from Airr playing in my country, like in this boba style, like heck
yeah.
yes, like
Yeah,
like
dude, I was like, I felt the same way. I was like, what? They played it in the. Not only did they play it, but you caught it. Like you walked in at, you were there at the right time to catch it. Because you could have easily have, came 5 minutes later or earlier and not have
yeah,
heard it. But then you did, and you recorded it. I was like, oh my, this is so crazy. They're playing it in the store.
yeah, it was really crazy. Like the timing is so perfect. Like I think that's destiny right there.
Yeah, yeah. The timing.
And yeah, one thing that actually uh, I saw your social accounts, your social media accounts a lot, and one thing that I noticed from you is that you have a lot of dedicated fans,
Mm,
and a lot of Indonesian fans as well.
yeah.
And I remember like I have people reaching out to me either through comments or DMs. Every time you just released a new track, they will go DMing me and like, "Yo, Air has got a new track. Air has got a new track." And like
That's so cool.
that happened for I still remember that happened for like several people for Follow Your Dreams. And like I was like, okay, like you really have tons of fans. And
That's
and
crazy.
and that's crazy, like to have people like being in one community like with you, and like loving what you create. I think that's very interesting. um like that's a legacy you want to live in. um but I was wondering, like, how do you engage with your fans, how do you engage with your audience and foster like a supportive community around that?
I feel like first of all, I thank all the fans and anyone who supports me. That's like without people supporting me, I have no career. Or
Yeah.
and it brings me like such joy anytime I drop a song and I see the comments like on the YouTube videos and the Instagram comments. I just like it feels so good to know that like I put in all this work for this music and I love my music and people feel the same way. And also, to answer your question, I feel like showing being open and honest about my music is what attracts people, I feel like,
Mm,
because you could there's a lot of people that don't really they it's gonna sound very pessimistic, but it's true. A lot of people make music just to make money, and so they
mm,
talk about things that one they don't even have money and cars, and they're talking about because that's all they see, and they're not really being honest with their music. Say what's going on in your life. All my music is what I happens in my life. It's all 100% true because I don't see it as I don't know what else I could do. How can you make a song that's not relatable to you even, you
mm,
know?
mm,
So, I feel like because I'm open and honest and it's kind of like having a friend, you know? I see my fans as friends and I would imagine and I hope they see me as like a friend they know about because I tell all my stories through my song and I want them to feel connected to me and I'm hoping they relate to my songs
mm,
enough to be like, you know what, I like this guy. He's like he's like my friend. He's a homie.
mm,
Um, and I feel like that's what creates um a strong fan base and people that support you a lot because you're honest. You're someone um they would want to be friends with. They like seeing your content because it makes them feel good too.
mm,
Um, so yeah, that's the recipe. Just be honest, authentic, and tell your story. Don't like everyone has a story, and people always say this. Oh, everyone has their own story, and it sounds cheesy, but in reality, that's what it is. Everyone has their own very unique story with very unique chapters that other people want to know about. And like, don't underestimate your story. Don't underestimate how interesting your life is. or how interesting you are as a person. Because I felt like that. Oh, you're just another dude. You're just another, like, what are you? Who are you to become a musician? You're just another average Joe. That's something I've heard. Oh, well, Billy over there, our cousin Billy tried to be a musician and he couldn't do it.
Mm,
You can't either. Why?
mm,
You got to look at yourself as someone special and someone worth it. Even though it's hard sometimes, I felt the opposite. But you have to always remember that you're you're important and your story matters, and you could create a voice for yourself. I didn't have a voice in the beginning. Like I always say, I didn't get any views on my song,
mm,
but eventually I did, and um, yeah, I feel like that was the best. Where people actually listened and now they care, and I feel like I inspire them too, which is what I go for. So yeah.
mm. Yeah, that's really amazing. Like, um, don't underestimate your story. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a story to tell. And so
Yeah.
I think it will be great for everyone, for artists especially, to be open and being authentic on telling their story and not try to be someone else.
Mhm.
Uh, and say things that they don't actually mean, and
Yeah.
do things that they actually don't like. And I really see that in you actually. Like when you said like you see your fans as friends,
Yeah.
that's really dope. Like that's true. Like when they can relate with you in a humanly level,
Yeah.
like that's everything. Like because you can inspire them, and because of that relatability, and um that allows them to be engaged with you, and you can
Yeah.
engage with them, and you care about them as a human being as well. And I think like it's not just about music itself. It's more than just music. It's about being a good human being that wants to inspire people out there. So I really like that from you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, um, I don't know if I've said this or whatever, but when I make music, most of the time, it's just like I'll make the beat, and then like hearing the beat, subconsciously I come up with the lyrics. Like I don't
Mhm.
go like, okay, well today, I have these lyrics and I want to put them in the song. It's more like, okay, I hear this beat and this is what just comes out of me. It just like shoots out of me. Like you are the one. I'm glad you're mine. Like I'm not thinking like any of these things in my mind. Well, subconsciously I am like maybe over the course of the week that's what I was thinking about. And then when
Mm,
it comes to make the music, it subconsciously just comes out of me. So it's like it's the most natural way possible. I'm not forcing anything. I'm not writing anything and then putting it into a song. I'm just like waiting to see what comes out of me. Then that's obviously based on my life. So that's how I write music.
mm. Yeah, that's an interesting music making process. It's natural, right? It's subconscious, and
Hmm.
I think that's also part of the reason why it feels really true. It feels very relatable because like I don't know, I feel like in my opinion, like when you say things that are um not subconscious, like you actually plan things up, like sometimes it doesn't hit you as much as
Hmm.
something that's like subconscious and sudden and natural. Like it
Hmm.
just sometimes it hits different. Um,
Yeah,
like the end product hits differently, and yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
I agree. I mean, there's lyrics that like, or times I'm writing a verse or I'm writing a song, and then um, instead of it coming naturally, I'm just trying to like spit out some words, like mumbling words, and then I might write a line, but I'm like, I scratch it because most of the time I don't relate to it as much. It doesn't hit hard enough home, you know?
Mm,
Like,
mm,
yeah, sure, it might relate, but I want it to be like deep enough too, like, like this was like a meaningful lyric. Um, yeah, so it's just, I don't, as the songwriter, I don't even feel attracted to my lyrics when it's not deep and has a meaning to me. So then
Mm,
I scratch it, like, just naturally.
mm,
Like, well, and that takes some observation. I'm like, well, why don't I like that? I'm like, and then I write a lyric that's like way deeper, and I'm like, ooh, that's the one. I'm like, well, because that one was way better because it actually hit home. I feel it like more.
for sure. Like you become your audience, right? Like you also you will know like when it's something that it fits in or it doesn't feel right, as the songwriter or
Yeah.
as the producer, like it feels we can actually do that. And yeah, definitely your lyrics have been incredibly relatable for me. And you're one of the few artists that I truly admired and truly respect.
Thank
Um,
you.
and like when I shared your songs to my girlfriend, and she really likes your song. And like I remember we went on a date and we were
Yeah.
singing your song, even though I
That's
cannot
dope, man.
sing. And like I was like, wait, you remember the lyrics? I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, and we're singing together, and like it becomes such a great experience for me, and like for me in my relationship too. And so yeah, I really want to thank you for that, man.
That's so cool, dude. That's so cool. You're like singing like because a lot of people post stuff like that too, like with their significant others. They're like singing along to the lyric,
Mhm.
and like yeah, that's like really really cool.
Mhm.
And that you said like she's like, oh yeah, I remember the lyrics. It's like
Yeah.
yeah, it's again, it's like if it's coming out of me, it's like something I would want to say. Um, and I'm not filtering it. I'm not trying to be macho and da da da. I'm just saying what I really feel, and even though it might sound cheesy, but
Mhm.
I'll say it because, and I feel like people appreciate that because um it's honest. That's what other people also want to say to their significant others. I'm glad you're mine. You are the one. You know all those lyrics.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like I want to make music for people who want to say things that can't, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
They would want to say these things, but and then they're like, they maybe never thought of the exact words they would want to put it in or whatever, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there you go. I'm glad you're mine," and say
Mm.
that to their girlfriend or sing it. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That I can do that.
Yeah, and like I'm glad you're mine. That's a really profound statement as well. Like I'm glad you're mine. Like oh, that just feels really, really. I don't know how do I put it into words. Like we don't usually say that, right? Like,
No, yeah.
but I'm glad you're mine. Like, and you're glad I'm yours. Wait, does that make sense? No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it did, it did.
Yeah. And like yeah, I think yeah, it's really nice when your music changes people's lives and plays a part in big moments in people's lives. I think
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. That's
That's
great.
why I can't wait to do concerts because it's one thing to see. Well, a lot of the things I don't see, right? Like I don't get to see people jamming out to my song because it's only when people post it on their story and then they tag me in and I see it. But like I feel like when you have a concert and everyone's like screaming the lyrics to the songs, like that's gonna be so cool. Everyone jamming out the same thing.
Yeah. It's just a matter of time. It's gonna
I
happen
know,
soon.
I know.
Like I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's gotta wait. Gotta keep going.
Imagine a stadium filled with thousands of people. Yeah.
Yeah, I see videos of like other artists and I'm like, that's like one thing that motivates me too is seeing like other artists and like when they're in their stadium and that's happening to them. I'm
Mhm.
just like, oh, I want it so bad. I'm like, I'll get it. I'll get it. Like, yeah, you get more. I did that a lot. Like, because growing up, I played a lot of basketball, and a lot of the
Mhm.
thing, like, a lot of the ways I was motivated was, to keep watching other like, players' story and
Mm,
they had these motivational videos on YouTube where like they would you know how they do like press conferences after the game, and they would say like inspirational things. Like for example, Derrick Rose is like, well, why can't I be MVP? You know, and he's
mm,
like, they're asking him like, do you think you'll be MVP or something? And he was the youngest MVP in the NBA. He's like, I
mm,
don't see why not. Like, why can't I? Like, why can't I be the next best player? And like, you know, they make these videos, and then you would watch it, and you would feel so motivated. You know, you're kind of like fueling yourself with the
mm.
motivation. Um, and like, I feel like there's times in my life where I haven't, like, even with music, it's like I wasn't consuming that motivation and that inspiration, and it made me less inspired. And I
Mm,
was like, you know, like the content you consume really, really matters. If I
yeah.
consume like these dumb, like, um, just pure entertainment, nothing, no other value to it, then like that's the fuel I'm giving my brain. But if I fuel myself with like, oh, I watched this guy make a beat and I'm like inspired, or I watched this guy talk about his music career and I'm inspired, um, then I'll obviously be way more motivated because that's the fuel I just gave my brain and that motivation.
Yeah, for sure. Like what we consume, what content we consume really matters so much.
Mhm.
Um, and we gotta consciously choose that. Like, oh, I feel like I'm in need of motivation. Let's watch some motivation videos instead of like this is at least how I think. Like endlessly scrolling social media is not sometimes it's not a good place to
Yeah,
be in because you don't know what to do. You just you just scroll and scroll and scroll and like you feel empty and like you don't even know what you want to do and you don't even know what you need.
yep.
And so like I
Yep.
think it's really important to be self-aware on like, oh, I think I need to get some motivation. Oh, I think I need some reminders. Oh, I think I need to learn new skills. I think when we become self-aware and know what we need, I think that will allow us to be more responsible in how we consume content, especially in social media.
Oh
Mm.
yeah, the scrolling thing is a big thing. The endless scrolling, because you have to remember these people are making these apps designed specifically to make you addicted.
Yeah.
That's their goal because they want you to stay on their app as long as possible. So they literally design it for that reason, and
Mm.
that's not good. Like you have to, once you're aware of that, and you're like, man, because a lot of people I know, it's like, including me, it's just like, oh God, I can't stop scrolling. I want to get off this, and yeah, you have to remember that that's not good. I remember back when the Vine was a thing.
Mm.
Um, I was in high school, and early in high school, and then at the time I was playing basketball like really competitively, and I worked like really really hard every day and spent a lot of hours, and then I would go on my own Vine, and I loved Vine because it was funny, and I
Mm.
just kept scrolling, scroll, scroll, and I'm like, literally, I'm addicted to this, and I deleted it. 'Cause, like,
Mm.
I could, there's no reason for me to even have the Vine, like, versus now, like, I don't wanna delete my Instagram or, my TikTok or something like that because um, I feel like I want to be on Instagram and post stuff and interact with fans, but I have to, like, I just go like, "Okay, no more scrolling." Like, I just throw my phone and I just do something else.
Yeah, I had like especially for me too, like with TikTok and Instagram, like we gotta be conscious about it. Like
Yeah.
uninstalling it sometimes it doesn't really solve the issue because it will just run away to some other platforms,
Mm.
whatever that may be. And so I think it's about understanding like you gotta be able to control like what you
True. Yeah.
touch, what you swipe, what you tap. I think I think it's a skill to
Mhm.
master that. It requires a skill to master that. Like not endlessly scrolling or putting time reminders like, oh, I can only scroll for 5 minutes. uh
Mhm. Yeah.
and like yeah, because like these platforms are sometimes designed for you to, linger there for hours.
Yeah.
And that's not good even for me as a social media account like a
Yeah.
content creator like it's not good. So um gotta control that for sure. Awesome. So yeah, we talked about a lot of things. It's been like quite some time, and
Oh, wow, it's been an hour.
Yeah. And before we end the episode, do you have any advices or reminders for the people out there listening? Um, maybe artists or even just anyone out there.
Yeah, I mean, like we've been talking about, that like that's the advice I wanted to give this whole time,
Mhm.
is to follow your dream slash your gut, and don't be afraid of what other people are gonna say on your way. Like don't not do something because of other people's opinions. Because that's why a lot of people don't do these things. They're scared of what their parents are gonna say, they're scared of what their friends are gonna say, and um, just know that there's so many the people you see that are successful now, and all those people, they went through that same thing you did. I can guarantee you. All the people around them were telling them they suck and they shouldn't be doing it and they should get a regular job and they shouldn't be a doctor. Whatever you want to do, they're saying it. Don't do it. I guarantee you. But you have to find it within you to know that you could do it. You could, whatever your goal is, whatever your dream is. Um, don't think it's unattainable. Only special people become successful. Only all these artists, they're like gods. They're something more than I am. They're not. I'm just a regular dude. I'm
Mhm.
a regular dude. All these people are just regular people. I feel like I don't know why, but people see celebrities as like these like more than human people, but they're just regular people, and that's their job. Their job is to play in movies and act and make music. That's just their job. So like, don't see these people as any more special than you are. You're able to do anything. I can guarantee it. Just put your mind to it, and when the haters say something, slap them in their face.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Follow your dreams. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
Anything is possible. Um, and do you have any shout outs for, I don't know, everyone you love and the people who have been supporting you? Any shout outs?
Oh yeah. Shout out to all the fans. I love you guys. Um, there's way more music coming. Um,
Yay.
there's yeah, yeah. There's definitely gonna be concerts one day, and yeah, shout out to everyone who supports me. Shout out to my family and everyone who helps me still. Um, and yeah, I love you guys.
Awesome. Air, thank you so much for today. Like, I'm genuinely, like, incredibly grateful for this conversation. I wish you the best for what is to come, for everything in life. And we'll definitely talk again soon.
Oh, and shout out to you because like the amount that you've helped and how accepting you've been of my music is like something very, 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 very few people could say they have done. And like the amount you've helped me is like incredible. So thank you a lot. And this podcast was, you're right, is real. I'm super grateful for it too. It was my first podcast, and don't hesitate to ask me to come back because this is like really fun to do, and I'll be more than happy to come back and talk with you. And yeah, thank you very much, man.
Yeah, man, no problem. It's my pleasure. Um, and I also would love to thank everyone who's been listening up until this point. I hope you gain a lot of value. I'm sure you learn a lot of new things, new perspectives, and hope you all have a blessed day. Stay safe, take care. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.
See ya.
Follow your dreams and don't you stop until you achieve them. When the odds are stacked against you, you keep on fighting. And I know life ain't fair sometimes, but you got to keep on going on. You'll never know unless you give it to go. So just follow your dreams, And trust me, I've been down this road before, the road before, where people told me I'm not good enough to be someone, But when you go and do what you love, then you find out that no one can stop you. You put in the work, then you get what you deserve, and all you gotta do, is follow your dreams and don't you stop until you achieve them. When the odds are stacked against you, you keep on fighting. And I know life ain't fair sometimes, So don't ever underestimate yourself. And don't ever think that something is impossible. No. But when you go and do what you love, then you find out that no one can stop you. You put in the work, then you get what you deserve. And all you gotta do, is follow your dreams. And don't you stop until you achieve them. When the odds are stacked against you, you keep on fighting. And I know life ain't fair sometimes, but you got to keep on going on. You'll never know unless you give it to go. So just follow your dreams, oh.